The Turning Tide. First, we have looked to the Chapter 1 Elara, the scholarship student often mocked for her humble background, had defied expectations through years of hard work and innovative thinking. She rose through the ranks at Global Innovations, becoming a go-to expert for challenging projects, even earning the grudging respect of some colleagues. However, Mr. Sterling, her condescending boss, remained a constant obstacle, his snide remarks a reminder of her outsider status. Despite this, Elara persevered, her confidence growing with each success. But a new threat emerged in the form of a hidden camera in the conference room, leaving Elara to wonder who was watching her and why. Now become to the final chapter. Elara stood at the head of the polished mahogany table, the weight of a dozen expectant gazes pressing upon her. The conference room, a sterile space of glass and chrome, hummed with a subtle tension. Her colleagues, once quick to dismiss her, now sat with a mixture of grudging respect and wary curiosity. The transformation had been gradual, a subtle shift in the tides of power, but undeniable nonetheless. Years of tireless dedication, of late nights fueled by lukewarm coffee and sheer determination, had finally borne fruit. Elara, the charity case, the girl with the worn messenger bag, had become Elara, the innovator, the problem solver, the one whose insights were sought after even by the most seasoned executives. Her presentation, a culmination of months of meticulous research and development, flowed effortlessly. She spoke with a clarity and conviction that belied her humble beginnings, her voice resonating with a quiet authority that commanded attention. She outlined her vision for the company's future, a bold strategy that challenged the status quo, pushing the boundaries of innovation and redefining the very core of their business model. As she spoke, she noticed a subtle shift in the room. Some faces, like those of her early supporters, beamed with admiration and excitement. Others, particularly those who had once relished in her perceived inferiority, were etched with a mixture of surprise and unease. Their eyes, once filled with disdain, now held a flicker of apprehension, a hint of fear. And then there was him, Mr. Evans, a mid-level manager known for his sycophantic devotion to Mr. Sterling and his thinly veiled contempt for Elara. He sat hunched in his chair, his gaze darting nervously around the room, his fingers fidgeting with a pen. Elara noticed his unease, the way his eyes kept flicking towards a corner of the room, towards a small, innocuous-looking smoke detector. Intuition, honed by years of navigating the treacherous waters of corporate politics, pricked at Elara's senses. Something wasn't right. Mr. Evans's behavior was out of character, his anxiety palpable. She followed his gaze, her eyes settling on the smoke detector. It looked ordinary enough, but something about it seemed off. The angle, the slight glint of metal, the way it seemed to be pointed directly at her. A chilling realization washed over her. It wasn't a smoke detector. It was a camera. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she maintained her composure, her voice unwavering as she continued her presentation. Her mind raced, trying to process this new information. Who had placed a camera there? What were their intentions? Was she being watched, monitored, spied on? The questions swirled in her head, but she couldn't afford to let her suspicions show. She had to finish her presentation, to maintain her composure, to project an image of confidence and control. She couldn't let them see that she was rattled, that she was vulnerable. As she concluded her presentation, a wave of applause filled the room. She smiled, acknowledging the accolades, but her eyes remained fixed on Mr. Evans, who was now sweating profusely, his gaze glued to the hidden camera. The meeting adjourned, and Elara was left alone with her thoughts. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that someone was monitoring her every move. But who and why? Was it Mr. Sterling, threatened by her rising influence within the company? Was it a rival executive, jealous of her success? Or was it someone else entirely, someone with a more sinister agenda? The possibilities were endless, and the uncertainty gnawed at her. She had always been careful, cautious, aware of the treacherous nature of the corporate world. But she had never imagined that she would be the target of such blatant surveillance. She decided to confide in her closest ally, Maria, a kind-hearted colleague who had been a source of support and encouragement throughout her years at Global Innovations. Maria listened intently, her brow furrowed with concern. "This is serious, Elara," she said. "You need to be careful. Someone is clearly trying to undermine you." "But who?" Elara asked, her voice filled with frustration. "And why?" "I don't know," Maria replied. "But we need to find out. We need to expose whoever is behind this." Together, they devised a plan. They would discreetly investigate, gather evidence, and uncover the identity of the person behind the hidden camera. They would not let this threat derail Elara's ambitions. They would not let fear dictate their actions. As they left the office that evening, Elara glanced back at the conference room, her eyes lingering on the hidden camera. A steely glint entered her eyes, a resolve that hardened her features. She would not be intimidated. She would not be silenced. She would fight back. She would expose the truth, and she would emerge from this stronger than ever. The turning tide had begun, and Elara was ready to ride the wave. The price of success. Elara stood at the head of the conference table, a wave of applause washing over her. The faces before her, once etched with disdain or indifference, now beamed with admiration and respect. The financial reports, projected onto the large screen behind her, spoke for themselves. Record profits, groundbreaking innovations, and a renewed sense of purpose. Global Innovations, under her leadership, was thriving. "This success," she announced, her voice resonating with quiet confidence, "is a testament to our collective efforts, our shared vision, and our unwavering commitment to excellence." Her gaze swept across the room, lingering on a few familiar faces. There was Maria, her loyal confidant, whose unwavering support had been a beacon of hope during the darkest days. There was Mr. Chun, the head of R&D, who had initially dismissed her ideas but now championed them with enthusiasm. And there was even Mr. Evans, his face pale and drawn, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and grudging respect. Elara had subtly reshaped the company, promoting those who had shown her kindness and quietly sidelining those who had been the most cruel. She had fostered a culture of meritocracy, where talent and hard work were rewarded, regardless of background. She had proven that success wasn't about social connections or privileged backgrounds, but about dedication, innovation, and a genuine desire to make a difference. But as the applause subsided, a nagging unease settled in her stomach. She glanced at her laptop, its screen displaying an anonymous email that had arrived just minutes before the meeting. The subject line, stark and ominous, read, "I know your secret." Her heart pounded in her chest. What secret? She had no secrets, at least none that could threaten her position, her reputation, her hard-won success. Or so she thought. The email, written in a cryptic and threatening tone, hinted at a past she had tried to bury, a past that could unravel everything she had worked for. It spoke of a family secret, a hidden connection to a rival company, a potential conflict of interest that could destroy her credibility and bring down Global Innovations. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through her composure. She had come so far, overcome so much, only to be threatened by a ghost from her past. Who was behind this email? What did they want? And how could she protect herself, her company, her future? The meeting continued, but Elara's focus wavered. She fielded questions, outlined future plans, and projected an image of calm confidence. But her mind was consumed by the email, its words echoing in her thoughts. As the meeting concluded, she excused herself, retreating to her office, a sanctuary of glass and steel that now felt like a cage. She closed the door, the sound echoing in the sudden silence. She sank into her chair, her hands trembling as she reread the email. "I know your secret," it taunted. "The truth will come out. You can't hide forever." She had to act. She had to find out who was behind this. She had to protect herself. But how? She thought of Maria, her trusted friend. But could she confide in her, risk exposing her vulnerability. Her fear? She thought of the hidden camera in the conference room, the subtle surveillance that had been plaguing her for weeks. Was this connected? Was someone watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike? The question swirled in her head, a vortex of fear and uncertainty. She felt trapped, cornered, like a prey caught in the sights of a predator. Then, a memory surfaced, a fragment of a conversation overheard weeks ago, a whispered exchange between two colleagues, their voices hushed and conspiratorial. They had spoken of a plan, a way to get rid of her, a secret weapon. Could this be it? Was this the secret they were referring to? Had they uncovered something from her past, something she had tried to bury, something that could destroy her? A wave of nausea washed over her. She had to find out. She had to know the truth. But where did she start? She decided to take a risk, to confront the one person who might have the answers, the one person who had always been her adversary, her tormentor, her nemesis, Mr. Evans. She found him in his office, his face pale and drawn, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. "Mr. Evans," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We need to talk." He looked up, his gaze meeting hers. A flicker of recognition crossed his face, a hint of understanding. "I know about the email," she continued. "I know about the secret." His eyes widened in surprise. "What are you talking about?" he stammered. "Don't play dumb with me," she said. "I know you're involved in this. I know you're trying to sabotage me." He hesitated, his gaze darting nervously around the room. "I don't know what you're talking about," he repeated, his voice barely a whisper. "Yes, you do," she insisted. "I overheard you talking to someone about a plan, a secret weapon. What is it? What do you know?" He remained silent, his face pale, his hands trembling. Elara leaned closer, her voice low and menacing. "Tell me the truth," she said, "or I'll make sure you regret it." He flinched, his resolve crumbling. "It's about your family," he whispered. "Your father. He worked for a rival company. He was accused of stealing trade secrets, of sabotaging their projects." Elara's heart sank. It was true. Her father, a brilliant scientist, had been embroiled in a scandal years ago, accused of corporate espionage. He had maintained his innocence, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. He had been convicted, disgraced, and his reputation ruined. Elara had tried to bury the past, to distance herself from her father's shame. She had changed her name, moved away, and built a new life for herself. But now, it seemed, the past had come back to haunt her. "Who told you this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "It doesn't matter," Mr. Evans replied. "The point is, it's true. And if this information gets out, it could destroy you, destroy the company." Elara felt a wave of despair wash over her. Was this the price of success? Was she destined to be punished for her father's sins? But then, a spark of defiance ignited within her. She would not let them win. She would not let them destroy her. She would fight back. She would expose the truth, and she would clear her father's name. She looked at Mr. Evans, her eyes blazing with determination. "You're wrong," she said. "This won't destroy me. It will make me stronger." She turned and walked out of his office, her head held high, her steps firm and resolute. She would not be intimidated. She would not be silenced. She would face this challenge head-on, and she would emerge victorious. She returned to the conference room, where her colleagues were still gathered, their faces etched with concern. She addressed them, her voice clear and strong. "I have something to tell you," she began. "Something important." She then revealed the truth about her father, about the scandal that had haunted her family for years. She spoke about his innocence, about the injustice he had suffered, about her determination to clear his name. Her colleagues listened intently, their initial surprise giving way to admiration and support. They saw the courage in her eyes, the strength in her voice, the unwavering determination that had brought her this far. They rallied around her, offering their support, their resources, their unwavering loyalty. They knew that she was more than just a CEO. She was a leader, a fighter, a beacon of hope. Together, they launched an investigation, uncovering evidence that proved her father's innocence. They exposed the real culprits, a group of corrupt executives who had framed him to protect their own illicit activities. The truth came out, and Elara's father was exonerated, his name cleared, his reputation restored. Elara, hailed as a hero, had not only saved her company, but also redeemed her family's honor. The price of success had been high, but the rewards were immeasurable. Elara had faced her fears, overcome her challenges, and emerged stronger than ever. She had proven that integrity, courage, and compassion could triumph over adversity, that even in the cutthroat world of business, there was room for kindness and justice. And as she stood at the helm of global innovations, leading her company towards a brighter future, she knew that she had finally achieved her dream. She was no longer the poor girl with the faux leather bag. She was Elara, the CEO, the leader, the woman who had defied the odds and risen to the top. She was the embodiment of success, not just in the corporate world, but in life itself. The end. Like and subscribe our channel for more interesting stories.